Mr. President, Israel said
ceasefire breaking in fact?
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous.
How will you respond if the ceasefire is fired?
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Have you believed that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
The president does not know. The president of the United States does not know if this ceasefire is still in effect. That's where we are this morning. He thinks both sides have violated it. And you heard him at the end there, just words of really, I think, frustration with both Israel and Iran with what's taken place since the president announced this deal.
Saying they don't know what they're doing and saying these guys have got to calm down. It's ridiculous. We're going to be replaying that quite a lot today and waiting for more reaction now from the region. Let's bring in our team coverage on this. We have CNN's Elena Treen live for us from the White House. Jeremy Diamond standing by in Israel. Fred Pleitgen also in Tehran for us this morning. Elena, first to you. This is some very important perspective coming from President Trump this morning.
That's exactly right. And I was just outside on the South Lawn with the president as he was speaking with us this morning before he departed on Marine One. Look, he is very, very frustrated and essentially downright angry. I have to argue. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with President Donald Trump. This is one of the most visibly angry times I have seen him. And it's clear that he's angry with both countries, both Israel and Iran. We asked him, does he believe the ceasefire is going to hold after we saw kind of the missile potentially fired from Iran, but then also the sharp language from the Israel foreign minister saying that he wants to retaliate with full force. The president said he does believe and he hopes that it will hold. But then he said as soon as he finished talking with us, he was going to make some calls and try to stop it. That was a direct quote. He said, I'm going to try to stop it as soon as I finish speaking with you all. But what he seemed to be very angry with as well is really Israel. I mean, he often tries to use, much more positive, optimistic language, favorable language when it comes to Israel, recognizing that they are one of the United States' strongest allies. But it is clear that he is very unhappy with how they have been acting in light of the news of this ceasefire. He said that perhaps Iran fired a stray missile, that maybe it didn't land, and he doesn't like that Israel was saying that they plan to retaliate with full force. And then he does something, he does like to curse. We know this president has done it multiple times, I know on the campaign trail over the past year or so, but he cursed again, and it was his parting language to us. He said, he was asked, do you think Israel wants peace? And he said these two countries have been fighting for so long together that they, quote, don't know what the F they're doing. And so, again, he is very frustrated with how this is all unfolding. It's very unclear as of now where this ceasefire stands, if it will be able to hold. But the president made very clear that he's going to be making calls to both countries, trying to get a sense of how they can try and figure this out and try to salvage this deal that I know last night he was celebrating along with all of his top advisors here at the White House.
Yeah, I mean, it can't not be overstated how much things have changed yet again in just a matter of hours with regard to this. And as you said, the president said as soon as he moved away from reporters and got on Marine One, he was going to start making calls. So a lot more to come. Elena Tree at the White House. Thank you so much, Elena. Stay close.
And just remember how we got to this place. The president announced a ceasefire had been brokered between Israel and Iran. Then as soon as the announcement was made, as the president said, Israel increased its attacks on Tehran. A lot of attacks overnight. Tehran firing back at Israel, some killed in Israel. And then after the deadline expired, another exchange there. Let's get to CNN's Jeremy Diamond in Israel. Jeremy, give us the latest from the Israeli perspective.
Well, the Israelis very much feel like Iran has violated the ceasefire agreements. They say that about 3 hours after the ceasefire went into effect, we heard, of course, the sirens that were sounding in northern Israel. And an Israeli military official tells us that there were 2 missiles that were fired there. Both, they say, were intercepted. We heard President Trump talking about a single rocket that he argued was being fired at northern Israel. But that is where the Israelis are accusing Iran of having violated this agreement, and also now vowing to strike back at Iran in response for that ceasefire violation. And that in particular seems to have been what got President Trump so upset this morning with those comments where, yes, he was talking about both Israel and Iran violating this ceasefire agreement in his view. But there's no question that the brunt of his anger there was indeed being directed at the Israeli government, and it very much sounded like he planned to get on the phone to the Israeli prime minister to try and stop Israel from striking back at Iran. We haven't gotten reports yet that those strikes have taken place, but we have heard from the Israeli defense minister as well as the chief of staff of the Israeli military, who both vowed that there would be firm strikes in Iran in response for those missiles that the Israeli officials say were fired at northern Israel. But then there's also this issue of what happened in the hours before the ceasefire. Yes, Israel was striking in Tehran very hard in the hours after President Trump announced the ceasefire, before it actually went into effect. But we also saw a very heavy barrage of more than 20 missiles, ballistic missiles, being fired by the Iranians, setting off sirens for about 2 hours straight, one after the other in all parts of Israel. And of course, the deadliest impact happening in the southern city of Beersheba, very close to our location right now. At least 4 people were killed in that strike. More than 20 others were injured. Of course, the tragedy of it all, the fact that this happened less than an hour before that ceasefire actually went into effect. The final victims of this conflict, at least here in Israel, were claimed. John, Kate.
All right, Jeremy Diamond for us in Israel as this continues to develop. Thank you, Jeremy.
And on that exact point, let's get to Fred Pleitgen in Tehran for what is the perspective from there this morning, Fred?
Hi there, Kate. Yeah, and after the Israelis made that claim that Iranian missiles were flying towards Israeli territory, I got in touch with a senior Iranian official who flat out denied that the Iranians had fired any missiles toward Israel after the ceasefire went into effect. In fact, they said that the moment that time had come for the ceasefire, that no missiles had been fired from the Iranian side. The Iranians also now warning the Israelis against hitting Iranian territory, saying that would open up Iranian retaliation once again, and that everything within what they call the occupied territories, of course, meaning all of Israel, would then become a target for Iran. So some tough language coming out of Tehran here as well. Also, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which of course is that elite wing of Iran's military, claiming that there were several violations of its soil, as they put it, by the Israelis, possibly meaning incursion by some sort of aircraft in the hours after the ceasefire went into effect. What we're seeing right now, actually, here in Tehran is that things are fairly calm here. I was on the streets a little bit earlier today. There's a lot of people who are out driving, some shops opening up. But what the president said there about the Israelis unloading overnight after the ceasefire deal was announced was definitely something that we saw and we felt here from our vantage point as well. I was up here on this roof when we all of a sudden heard Israeli Air Force planes what seemed to be Israeli Air Force planes streaking past, and then extremely loud explosions rocking our building and then rocking also a lot of other places in central Tehran as well. We saw a lot of outgoing anti-aircraft gunfire coming from the Iranians. The skies here over the city really were illuminated. That went on for the better part of, I would say, about half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe up to an hour, where those loud bangs continue. The Israelis at some point even issued evacuation orders for certain districts here in the morning, when obviously people in those districts most probably would have been asleep. So it certainly was a night that saw a lot of kinetic activity. And as of right now, the Iranians are saying that their forces are not firing back. The foreign minister of this country, Abbas Araghchi, he came out and said that Iranian forces had fired until the moment that the ceasefire went into effect, which the Iranians consider to be 4 a.m. In the morning, and that since then, no projectiles, they say, have been fired from Iran towards Israeli territory.